Have you ever heard the name Stephen Foster? Do you know who he is? Well, I can guarantee you that even if you don't know who he is, you have probably sang a few of his songs. Sitting around a campfire, that kind of thing, they've probably been played off as just folk songs, but a lot of them originated with Stephen Foster. Tell me if some of these song titles ring a bell. Old Susanna, also known as the Gold Rush song. Old Susanna, don't you cry for me. I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Old Folks at Home is also the Florida State song. Sometimes it's called the Swanee River song. And then My Old Kentucky Home, which is the Kentucky State song. Jenny with the light brown hair. And Camptown Races. Camptown Races sing this song, doo-dah, doo-dah. That's just called the Camptown Races song. But yes, this is only a few of the songs that Stephen Foster wrote and published through his life. And even though he's died over 150 years ago, still sang and recorded to this day. Right now, I am standing outside his memorial tower in the middle of a state park in White Springs, Florida. Now, I'm about to go on in and start showing off some of these placards and pictures of his original manuscripts and show the really cool device they put in the top of this tower to chime out some Stephen Foster songs. As we walk in, a few more facts about Stephen Foster. Stephen Foster was born, lived and died. His entire career was only 37 years. He was between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. When Davy Crockett died in the Alamo, Stephen Foster was 10 years old. So Stephen Foster was actually born in Pennsylvania, and then later moved to Ohio, and then later to Manhattan, to New York. So he was a Yankee, but all of his music, or at least his most popular music, was about the South. It was entirely about the South. So the father of Southern music, the father of American music, was a Yankee that wrote and sang about a place he didn't even live at, about the South. So he was born in July, the 4th of July, which is appropriate for the father of American music to be born on the 4th of July, Independence Day, in 1826, and then died in January of 1864. Now, to put that into a little bit of perspective, the Civil War itself went from 1861 to 1865. It was a 4-year war. Actually, Stephen Foster died in 1864, and the war ended in 1865. So he died right as the war was ending. So now we're on the inside. Let's go ahead and take a little look around at the different memorials and placards they have for the great Stephen Foster. Old Folks at Home. This is a diorama setting of the kind of thing that Stephen Foster had in mind when he wrote the Florida State song. And then we've got some old tintypes of him. And this is the picture that is most commonly used. I think that's the Wikipedia picture of him. But it's certainly not his only picture. There's another good one there. And we've got some of his family members and whatnot down here. Some good photos of some of the letters that he wrote. Some of his sheet music down here. And you have to remember that he lived in a time before there was recordings. There were no records, even wax cylinders, no kind of recorded media at all. So the only way that he could make any money off of his music, was by the selling of sheet music. And he actually made some good money off of that during the peak of his career. Old Susanna was his most successful song, selling over 100,000 sheets of sheet music. But realistically, there were no copyright laws back then either, so there was no keeping people from just writing the song down and passing it from one person to the other without Stephen Foster seeing any profits off of it. He tried. He was actually well educated for his time. He went to a total of 5 different private schools during his adolescence. And then when he was 18, he moved from Pittsburgh to Ohio. And that was where he got married. And had a total of 1 child, a daughter. And then in 1860, he really wanted to take his music writing career to the next level. And he figured the best way to do that would be to move to New York City. But being a career songwriter was a very foreign thing back then, and it never really worked out. He never really did find his fortune and hit it big in New York City. And just a little while after he was there, his wife actually ended up leaving him and moving back to Ohio. But he stuck it out and stayed in New York City, and things just kept getting worse. And eventually he ended up dying at 37 in a cheap hotel in the lower Manhattan side. And when he died, he had less than $1 worth of money to his name. But since his death, his songs and history has been very kind to him. And this is only one of a lot of different memorials made to what many people consider to be the father of American music. Oh, look at this. Right here is a picture of the original chicken scratch manuscript for Old Black Joe, one of his more successful songs. That's the way it started out. And then when he finished it out into sheet music, he prettied it up into that and sold that. Now he also gathered a bunch of Negro spirituals, or hymns, if you will, into collections and got those published as well. So yeah, even though he was a Yankee, he did like black gospel music and was interested in getting it archived and passed around for future generations. We do appreciate him for that. Right here is a model of the chime that is in the top of this tower. And there's some little people there just to give you some perspective on the size of it. Each one of these cylinders makes a different note, and there are hammers on the inside of these actuators here that hit them in time to make the songs. And they ring out on the top of each hour. Here's somebody standing in front of the different cylinders here. And we've got some pictures of its construction over here. Here's somebody testing the resonance of this cylinder here. And there's a whole row of them installed. There's a whole wall of relays there. And some pictures of the dedication. There's the tower, right after it was built. And a few other pictures of the tower being constructed that we are standing in right now. And tower years, so it looks like it was completed in 1957. Over here we've got a piano that at one time could be played and the song would chime out in that in that chime, the top of the tower. And the keyboard itself is smaller So it was specially made music to be played on that keyboard. And here's some pictures of it right here. You see how small the keyboard is. And specially made music to accommodate the smaller keyboard, as well as some of that punch card music that you could use to just pre-record and play the music back then. They're not using, I don't think they're using this anymore. Here's one of them, right here. That could be put in the piano and played, and the song would play out of the top of the tower. All the way up there. It's really pretty, isn't it? Tower is over there. Next to it, we are now going into the museum building, which closes in just a few minutes, actually. So let's go on in, see what they got in here. Ooh, very pretty. Oh, there's a diorama for the Old Black Joe song. That's the manuscript we saw in the other building, written in 1860. That was the same year that he moved to New York City. Wrote that. Old Susanna, his most successful song, written in 1848. Oh, there's a diorama for My Old Kentucky Home, the Kentucky State Song. And here's what he had in mind when he wrote that song. Jenny with the light brown hair. I think I mentioned that song. You've got him actually composing the song right here, and his thoughts of Jenny showing through the scrim right there. Very cool. I like that one. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, he wrote and published over 200 songs. Oh, look at this. This diorama's actually got some racing horses around this track. And the Camptown Races song that he wrote was actually for a racetrack that was in Ohio. So one of his more popular songs actually was not based on a location in the South. Way down upon the Swanee River. There's the Swanee River there in the diorama, the same one that we put our feet in just a few days ago. Open thy lattice, love. Diorama for that one. Oh, and we've got an old steamship right here. He actually worked as a bookkeeper at steamship dockyard for his brother in Ohio. And that probably was some of the inspiration for that song. Oh, just noticing this. My Old Kentucky Home has got a little motion in the diorama. We've got somebody with a little horse, well, it's a donkey, pulling a empty cart right here down the dirt road. All right, so I think that is quite enough about the Stephen Foster legacy for one day. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's rare that I do a vlog about history that actually predates the Civil War. But there you go. The Stephen Foster legacy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to go ahead and smash that thumbs up like button. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, and requests. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to ring that bell icon so you'll be notified of all my future updates. And also, in the comments, go ahead and tell me what was your favorite Stephen Foster song, and what kind of childhood memories do you have singing them around the campfire, or little choir renditions, children's choir renditions. I'm sure you probably did in your childhood as well. Look forward to reading those, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.